to the comedy confession booth.
Are we rolling? Is that?
Oh yeah, we're rolling.
That's just a cold open.
Yeah, I don't have a thing yet. Dude, you were trying to sing a theme song. You want to give it a go?
No.
Yeah, we were. Okay, maybe I should do this too. Hold on. You're so smart about mics. Oh.
Yeah, we can see your face now.
Oh
Because these
my
are
God.
quite beefy microphones.
Yeah, I had a conversation with John O'Keefe about it in an unaired episode that, I don't know, it might be a little too racist, so.
Okay. I just want to make sure everyone can get a full view of my lack of chin.
Yeah. It's either like lack of chin or like.
It
Yeah,
depends.
it's
If I'm like this, it's no chin. If I'm like this, it's 15.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say it, I'll allow it.
This is a genetic family thing. Both my parents have, as good looking as they are, quite like jowly faces.
Both your parents are beautiful. I've met them both.
Yeah, they are. Just it's the chin.
It's the chin. Yeah, that's not a problem I have, as you can
Yeah,
see.
you have a very pronounced bone structure.
Thank you so much. For everyone listening, I'm sure you don't know who we are and can't picture us.
Yeah. Picture a small, kind of slightly alternative looking Jewish lady with a very pronounced jawline.
They're picturing like that meme of the guy that's like,
Again, they can't see the
they can't
face you're
see
making.
it. They can't see it. But
yeah,
some
fine.
people are watchers. So
Okay.
anyway, welcome James Regal
Thank you.
to Comedy Confession Booth. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. James Regal is headlining the Saturday Spotlight show here at the Comedy Clubhouse.
Right?
And you took that on.
This morning. Yeah. I'm like that willing sub that's always ready to come off the bench when the star player gets injured.
Yeah,
He's a trier, but he's not being picked for the first team.
sure. I'm the same.
Yeah. No, I did. I guess I had my spotlight a few months ago. Unfortunately, the brilliant Andy Casper is ill, and Hannah.
No, I was really excited to podcast with him.
Yeah, I bet you were. He's really entertaining.
He really is. And now I have you.
Yeah, and then I guess Hannah was like, "Who do I know who doesn't have a life on a Friday night? Oh, James will probably do it." So here I am. Yeah.
Here you are, but you're going to be amazing. So don't worry.
No,
Don't stress.
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done a 30-minute set for a while.
Yeah.
Probably since the last spotlight. I've done a bunch of 15s, and obviously we had the split hour in Edinburgh, and maybe we'll get onto this later, but like I feel like my set has changed a lot already since then.
I'm
I've
sure.
stopped doing a lot of that material for some for more kind of social political reasons. So yeah, I'm looking forward for the opportunity to kind of stretch my legs a bit more with the time, because I actually just booked in my first solo hour.
Congratulations.
Yeah, end of March.
Cool. What's the date and time?
So that's going to be 30th of March at 6:30 p.m., but it's at Secret Comedy Club. But on the 27th of April, I'll be doing it again here at the Comedy Clubhouse.
Nice.
I think that's the early Saturday show again. I think 6:30 on a Saturday. I think it'll be on the website.
That's a nice slot. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my first hour at the 10 p.m. Sunday slot. And actually, it was pretty well attended, so I can't complain. But yeah, 6:30 slot is much nicer for like an hour of comedy, trying something new, and
Yeah, and I
It'll be
think it's kind of a way of putting less pressure on yourself, I guess. But it will be work in progress.
yeah,
And I think when I first decided, okay, now's the time to do an hour, I was like, oh, I'm going to have like a theme, and it's going to be about this, and it's going to be very Edinburgh-y. And I kind of still have that aim, at least for a show. But I think for this one, I'm just going to take the best material I have. Obviously, I'll sort of write some bits around it that might be kind of newer. And just stretch out into that hour, 50 minutes, whatever I do, and see what happens. The audience hopefully will feel part of that process. I'm not turning up being like, hey, this is my 4 years of comedy. I've arrived. I feel like this is... I feel like comedy is all about new beginnings. I feel like you feel like you're getting to a point, and then when you get to the point, that point feels like the beginning of the next bit.
Yes.
So that's what this kind of feels like.
is that what you're gonna call it?
New beginnings? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy.
It's a bit midlife crisis, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean that wouldn't be inaccurate.
No, I mean the idea I had in my head. I was walking through Edinburgh in the summer, and I just had this idea of like how I'm a bit of a life crammer. And like I often kind of I guess, I'm 40 years old. I've finally found like my real passion in life the last few years in comedy. And now it's like a race to I'm not trying to be famous or anything, but it's like I don't have as much time to do it as like the younger people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, like us 30-year-olds are so young.
Yeah, and I feel that's sort of like often my way. I'm a procrastinator. So even like dumb stuff like getting a tan in the summer. Like every year I'm like, that's good. 1st of May, I'm down the beach. I'm going to get a suntan. I'm going to look beautiful all summer and it's going to last. And then it gets to like the 30th of September. I'm like, I'm still white. I need to go to the beach. So I was going to
do the same thing, actually. Yeah. I'm like, why haven't I got tan yet?
Yeah, like, beach, gym. Like, it should be the easiest thing in the world to do. Walk 20 minutes outside my front door and lie down in the sunshine. But I can't do it because it's a goal that I set myself. So I was going to call the show Too Late.
I like that.
And there were some other things as I thought about. There was other interesting stories from my life that kind of fit to that theme. But I think for now, this is just going to be like I'm going to throw all the shit at the wall and see what sticks. I might bring back the old bit I used to do using like DJ equipment in the set,
I love
just
that.
to make it a bit more variety based. But yeah, I'm excited, but terrified. I mentioned the procrastination part. It's not like I have the show written out and I'm like, right, give me a date. It's what I've asked for the date, so I will force myself to put a show together. I'm someone who needs like a deadline.
I'm the same way, and what I will tell you is I still didn't write my show until the day of. So
yeah, and I probably won't either. This is a great advert for my show. If you want to see like a man under extreme pressure trying to be funny, come to my show. It's actually, I had an interesting idea. So tell me if you think this is completely stupid. So a lot of these shows that they pay what you want, which for those who maybe don't know who are listening, it means that the audience effectively can come in for free, or sometimes maybe they'll buy a ticket in advance for a price they choose, but they can pay what they want for the show. At the end of the show, you do what we call a bucket speech. So you ask people for money and hopefully, they feel it was worth 5, 10, 15, whatever pounds. Sure. I thought, what if I paid people £5 to come in to watch the show? But the idea is if they like it, they give it back to me at the end, plus whatever they feel extra they want to give me. Just as a sort of publicity thing. I don't know. Do you think, is that crazy? Or do you think like people would vibe with that? I was like, James Regal, the show could be called James Regal Pays You to Watch Him on Stage for an Hour or something like that.
I think personally, okay, I have two immediate reactions. The first is you're probably not going to make much money off that because when people give you the €5 back, they're going to feel like they're already giving you money.
Yeah, that's true.
And B, you're kind of devaluing yourself by saying, I'll pay you to watch me. It's like, why do I need to get paid to watch you? I'd pay to watch you.
Yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome.
So those are the exact same
and
thoughts.
I have paid to watch you emotionally.
Yeah. Those are two thoughts I also had. The money one doesn't bother me because it's like, for the first time, I'm not looking to make money. I just want, as long as I don't lose money, I just want the opportunity to perform for an hour and fine. The devalue one, is like if it's taken in the wrong light, it's like, why is this guy paying? But I feel like if you marketed it properly, so it's sort of obviously kind of tongue in cheek and a stunt, maybe you circumvent that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. You would have to really figure out the right wording on marketing it to not devalue yourself. I just think it would be an interesting experiment. And I come from that world of like PR and marketing, where it's like trying to find a different way, and because the show itself doesn't have a theme or a title, it does. It's called Too Late. Well, not yet. Could be, but the one I'm going to do in March probably won't be that. So it's just bloke does stand up for an hour. Yeah. So I just wonder if there's like something I can do that will get people talking. It's like, have you heard James is paying people to watch him? That's kind of funny to me. It's funny. I feel like you can come up with something else funny that doesn't devalue your comedy. Okay. That's my opinion. We'll workshop that. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it off the air. So I want to talk to you about some actual. I have some pre-planned questions, but we've actually gotten a great start going, and I really like hearing about your hour and your process there. So that kind of leads into like what jokes are you working on right now that you're really enjoying? So right now I think I've found a really fun sort of 10-15 minute routine, which I'm really enjoying. And what's nice about it is like it's one that I've been able to keep building with additional stuff. So I was talking about the ads I get targeted with on social media and how they're all basically trying to like help me get a relationship and stop being single.
Yeah.
For instance, like, and the little tricks are like there's shoes that have like hidden heels to make guys look taller. There's also like workout plans, and I won't go into like the whole bit, but it's like I've been able to like write little like few minute bits and then just keep building on top of it until, and then I managed to link it with a slightly older bit I had about a really weird advert for a condom I saw once, which is that's one of my favorite bits I've written so far because if you were I have a very varied sense of humor, but I guess if I was put on the spot and asked what it is, it's like I like to find surreal things within the kind of day to day and or like take things to like a slightly absurd place without being like wacky.
Yeah.
But I think there's bit, and then funnily enough, you told me what the questions might be, and I was listening to the podcast, and you're asking people about their like comedic influences. I'm sorry, I'm like jumping ahead.
No, that's okay. I wanted to, just like flow.
Yeah, but like this particular bit is about ads. They're social media ads, but I remember some of the first stand-up I remember listening to was Ben Elton ranting about ads on British television for things like gas. Like, why are they advertising as gas? It's not like I'm sat on the sofa going, fill up gas right now. It's like, it's a public utility. And I realized like, I can see the influence of that in this bit. Like I'm ranting about stupid adverts. So
I kind of love the idea of you doing a show just about ads and like letting that be the tie-in, and then when you promote it you can get really meta about it and like turn it into an ad, but it's like an ad for a show about ads. And
ooh, I like that. Or I could do like a series of like fake Instagram ads.
Yeah,
I like that. I guess I've worked in PR marketing for 17
also, like,
years, so it's like
into your story.
Yeah, I know. I just like the bit because it's about me. It's about my experience, and the audience seemed to like it. It's not finished yet. Like there's still plenty of work and editing to be done, but I'm enjoying doing that bit for sure.
I like that bit. I've seen it and I can say it's pretty funny.
Thanks, Jamie.
So, you're welcome. I'm just here to compliment
Imagine if you're like, I've seen it.
Shit.
Yeah.
I actually got an ad from Instagram that I thought was so funny. I talked about it on stage once, which was after my mom came and brought my flute from home. I was like very excited about it, so I was talking about it a lot, so my phone heard that. And then I also have a joke about bisexuality, and as you can see, the bisexual colors on our background. Are
those bisexual colors?
Yeah, blue and pink.
Oh, okay, right.
Because I'll fuck anyone.
Okay.
And so I got an ad for it just had two flutes, and one was blue and one was pink, and it was like the weirdest thing. I was like, is it trying to tell me to like use flutes for pleasure? Like,
right, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Did you?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think for my show though, I'm gonna have a flute on stage the whole time.
I really was wondering what you were going to say. I think my show, I'm going to stick a flute up my vajayjay.
No, but I'm gonna
play the American national anthem.
That's someone's already done that, so I can't.
Oh shit! Okay.
She's good. We saw her in Edinburgh. What's
oh,
her
that's
name?
right. Yeah. Shirley, no, yeah, she's amazing.
She's great. I thought of it, and I was like, "Fuck, she's already done it."
Yeah, damn you, Shirley. Yeah.
But she's great. No, I want to have it on stage. It's kind of like Chekhov's flute, just to be like, is she gonna and like reference that? Like maybe I will stick it up myself.
Yeah.
But like, then not.
Okay. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Just like leave the audience hanging.
Yeah, and then maybe at the end I'll like play something on it.
Yeah.
Just to prove that I have other talents.
Sure. Can you play the flute?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the piccolo.
What's the difference?
The piccolo is really tiny. And the flute is like I don't know, the size of like an arm. Whereas like the piccolo is the size of like a forearm.
Okay.
And it's higher. It's an octave higher.
Got it.
Anyway, you have talents though.
Thanks.
This is not a pre-planned question.
I have talents.
Yeah, what are your talents?
Oh, I hate that question because I honestly don't feel like I have any.
I think you have. I mean, you DJ'd for a long time.
That's not a talent. That's thank you, but DJing is not. Well, I don't know.
You're
not for me. It wasn't.
So many DJs so mad right now.
Yeah,
they're all tuning in.
I mean, simply playing music is not. It's not a talent. There's a skill in it. I wouldn't call it talent. Someone who remixes live and plays along in like a Fred again to sound like a basic bitch. Even though I do like him. Like that for me, like that guy's talented. I was not talent, but no, I think I have more ethereal talents. Like, I was always kind of quite good at a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I always liked trying different stuff. I don't think I ever truly excelled in anything apart from Latin in my primary school, where I won the Latin Cup. The only cup I ever won at school was for Latin.
Do you remember any?
From Latin? I mean, I know some Latin phrases from like...
Give me a Latin phrase.
Audarius facere.
That sounds like a House of the Dragon, like...
Yeah, I'm going to let a lot of people down now. That is the motto of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It means to dare is to do. Which actually, funnily enough,
nice.
Yeah, I feel that does speak to me a little bit in terms of, doing this.
This podcast?
Yeah.
Were you scared?
I was terrified. Comedy and that kind of thing is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So, like, what's your comedy journey? How did you get into starting comedy?
My journey. So, I started here in Barcelona around...
Why'd you move here?
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Let's go back.
Let's go back.
Classic one, really, for a girl. But not in the way that you think. So, there wasn't a girl here. I was in a relationship in London where I grew up, worked my whole life. And so a few years prior to that, I had been more into like the DJing thing we just mentioned. Things had started to pick up a little bit. I'd done a couple of summer seasons in Ibiza, like not in clubs or anything, just like I was DJing in this very nice hotel kind of chill out music.
Yeah.
Not really my thing, but like I made it my thing.
That's the one where you can watch the sunset, right?
No. So this was just like a nice hotel in the middle of the island. But it's true that, I'll go back. So I was thinking after a couple of years of not doing that with Ibiza, suddenly a job offer came up again. And I was thinking, I wouldn't mind going back and doing it again and really pursuing it. My girlfriend, who had come with me in the early part of our relationship for my second time out there, she didn't really enjoy it. And she was like, okay, I guess we can go. And then that job offer started to get a bit flaky in this very like Ibiza way. Mm-hmm. So she basically said, look, I don't want to go out there and us just be sat there doing nothing. Like, it's going to be really boring. What if we still went away for the summer, but we went somewhere else that maybe like has more going on, but you could also DJ? Like, what about Barcelona? And I think she had some like work friends that have been out here. And I can't remember what the discussion was, but eventually I just sort of agreed to it. And yeah, we drove over here in June 2013.
Nice.
We shared an apartment with this German guy near Poblasek, near that area. And within a month, I just started kind of looking around at jobs just to see if there was anything. And I found a job.
And this was pre-Brexit, so...
Yeah, pre-Brexit, exactly. So you could do that back then, exactly. Found a job that in my field at my level, and they needed an English native speaker, and the money was really good. So I applied. It took months and months till they like offered me the job. But within that time, I decided I really liked Barcelona. The thing you mentioned is what also weirdly happened is, so while I was here and not really working, I spent ages making a mix to enter to a competition to DJ at this amazing legendary venue in Ibiza where like the sunsets. It's called Cafe Mambo, and I won, which was like I've never won anything. It was incredible, and they would like fly me out.
You haven't won anything since.
No, I won Mansplainer of the Year actually. Shut Up Bitch Barcelona.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's my dream. I won that thing. So that was like pushing me back towards DJing. And then I had also like fallen in with this cool group of DJs in London, and we were like playing cool gigs in London, like that really like at the cutting edge of dance music culture. And I was loving that. And then like they offered me this job to relocate here. And I was like, it was like a sliding doors moment. Like, do I stay in London and carry on with the DJing stuff? Do I go to Barcelona? And I chose Barcelona.
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy because there's an alternate universe where you chose to stay in London.
Yeah.
And your life would be completely different.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially.
100. No, I think 100% different.
I think I'd be less happy than I am now. This place just, even on my worst days, I look out my window and I'm just like.
You have the best view in Barcelona as well, so.
I have it right now, Jamie.
Oh, stop! Stop!
Flirt.
Don't flirt. Don't flirt with me.
No, it's an amazing city, and yeah, it was only years later. I think I'd gone to see a couple of stand-up shows where I probably saw I remember seeing people like John Alice performing.
Right.
Maybe Robert Marquez. I think I saw him performing.
When did you start going to stand-up shows?
I don't remember the year. Maybe like 2015.
Maybe you saw me perform.
Maybe. I remember going to Paraguay.
Yeah, I performed at Paraguay a lot.
Potentially for Atomic. I think I saw an Atomic.
Just Kidding there.
Yeah, I think I went to Craft a few years later. And so I was aware there were like shows here, but at that point I wasn't considering doing it at all. It was only around 2018, 2019 the little worm in my head kind of formed like, oh, maybe you could try it. And,
maybe you could try it. And then how did that come about?
So it probably took me the best part of a year to decide. I'd gotten really into podcasts and listening to like comedians on podcasts.
Which ones?
You're gonna hate me, but like Joe Rogan was like a central one. But through Joe Rogan, and this was back before he went off the reservation. It was actually interesting to listen to. I can't stand it anymore. The guy's a lunatic.
Are you just saying that?
No, I genuinely I tried. Okay. I thought one came up on my phone the other day.
A year ago, you would like still listen to him.
I still occasionally dip in, but I dipped into one the other day because he had a guy on that I quite liked, and it was like an hour of just listening to like right-wing propaganda that's went completely unchecked, and it was just driving me insane. And I don't care if people have different political views, but it was just like.
But that's like not what you want to spend your time listening to.
Yeah, and it's like at this point, you have a platform that people. But anyway, let's not get into Joe Rogan.
Sure.
But I was listening to comedians talk about their craft and their process, and then I just in the shower started to like think of jokes. And then I then remember one day I was just like, all right, I'm going to go and watch a show. So I went to this open mic at Limerick that was called, was it called LOL, that show?
It might have
Robert's
been,
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Marquez was the host. I went to watch it with the express point of view. I was like, okay, if I feel, and this is very me, like I like to dip my toe and first and then decide.
Sure.
So I watched it, and then a guy called Kobe went up for his first time, and he absolutely killed. Because he's just so fucking charismatic.
Kobe's amazing.
I think he'd literally written the material like there and then as well, asshole. But I remember like watching people and like everyone was pretty good. But I remember thinking like I reckon I could like do not much worse than some of that.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to Kobe and I was like, oh mate, like congratulations, you're really funny. I'm thinking of doing it. I'm just not sure. And he looked at me and he just did that Kobe thing and he was just like, just dive in, man. Just dive in. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to dive in.
I'm going to dive. I'm going to start dipping my toe and I'm going to start diving.
So I signed up the next week, got 5 minutes, and I was going to do it on my own without bringing anyone. But in the end, I brought my ex and my older cousin who lives here, Mitch, for moral support. And I remember the bit. I stand by, actually, the premise is still pretty good.
What's the
And
premise?
one day, I'll get to that in a second, because one day I'm going to try and bring it back, I think.
I think you should.
But I remember doing it. I remember getting like a couple of laughs. It was quite like observational, but also silly. And I remember coming off stage and the feeling was, wow, I have to do that again.
Yeah.
I loved that. And even though I knew like I was embarrassed, I was shy, I was terrified. It was such a rush, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and it was amazing. And then, just like bit by bit, you like do another mic, and then, someone sees you and they put you on at Craft, and I was like, wow, I'm on at Craft. Like Craft is like the worst fucking place, but like that's where like the good comedians were that I saw, and it kind of happened.
Yeah. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
And now you're here, and now you're one of the comedians on a podcast talking about comedy styles.
Yeah,
it's
it's weird. I think I have, people talk about imposter syndrome. I definitely have that. Like I'll be in meetings at work and I'm like, they think I'm an idiot, that I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Various things. Even like, in shows sometimes I get it. But I think what I also have is the opposite of that. which
which is straight white male confidence.
Yeah, exactly. It's called white privilege. No, I call it imposer syndrome because like quite often it's the same with the DJing, same with comedy. I'll see someone doing a thing and I'm like, I could do that.
Oh yeah, I have that too though.
Yeah, like I picture myself. I can't just enjoy a thing without picturing me being the one doing it, even if it's something ridiculous like Cirque du Soleil. Like I am not an acrobat, but I'm like, it'd be really cool if I was that guy. And I don't know if everyone has that.
I have that. Every time I go to see a Broadway show or a musical or something, I go home and just sing for hours.
Yeah. I would say I always wanted to be like an actor and in musicals and stuff. Like I can't just enjoy something on face value and go, wow, those people are great. I really enjoyed that. Suddenly I'm like, I wish that was me.
Yeah. It's this weird, like, it's, I don't know if it's like a competitive thing or just like a I want to experience everything thing.
I think it's a wanting attention from people thing, if I'm honest.
Did we not get enough attention as children, James?
I think I did. I don't know. It's just
I definitely did. But
it's a weird one because like I also don't like being the center of attention, but also love it in equal measure. It's weird. But I guess through comedy I finally found the thing with the lowest barrier to entry possible that I could be like, I could do that, and it was just one rung below DJing actually.
No, exactly. I mean, honestly, I had a very similar because I started in Barcelona also. And I had a very similar of like, I went to a mic first and was like, and I had actually met a lot of the people at that mic at an improv workshop. I was like, I can go to an improv workshop. That's fine. And so I met them all there and they were like, come to the comedy open mic. And I was like, okay. And I went and I watched and I was like, oh, wow. Like, I mean, just off the bat, English is my first language. Like I'm already like miles ahead in that. So I might as well try it, because I don't have to, so it was just kind of a similar sort of, I could do that.
Yeah. But you have like a theater background as well, right?
So do you, though.
I mean, yeah, I used to like acting when I was younger and I was in like some shows, but I feel like you took it maybe more seriously than I did.
I thought I was going to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm not. But I mean, you did some like public speaking stuff, not public speaking, but like you did theater and like you've been on stage, you've been in front of people. Yeah,
I loved acting. I love stage acting. You put a camera in front of me, I fall to pieces. I hate it. I don't know why.
I'm the same way.
I can't do it. But I always loved being on stage when I was at school. And again, not in a kind of precocious theater kid way. I just liked the excitement of like having a character and a script and like the nervousness backstage and the thrill you get when you're up there and I always enjoyed it. And like at school I never got given any of like the main roles, very rarely.
Who did you play in Fiddler on the Roof?
Yeah, so my all boys private school in London did a production of Fiddler on the Roof, and we had a lot of Jewish kids in our school. None of us got to be the main roles.
It's honestly anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and it was an all-boys school, so of course some people had to play women. And to be fair, I remember one guy was Yenta. He was brilliant. Like he got standing ovations. He was so good. So I was given the role in the chorus line as a male villager in the first half. In the second half, for some reason, I was female villager, and I have still to this day cannot fathom why they decided. Maybe they swapped us over so we didn't feel like we had to be a woman the whole time. But
it probably messed with the consistency, though, because if you had to be a woman the whole time, you would have just embodied that. Right?
Yeah. But I guess in Anatevka in like the late 18th century, men and women villagers may have looked very similar, Like, there wasn't a lot of like hygiene.
I mean, no hygiene, no makeup,
So it wasn't really until I got to university where I turned up with my now like long curly hair and kind of London sensibilities that this girl who was one of the years older than me, I guess she was a third year, she was directing a production of Ben Elton's Popcorn, and she had seen me do like the intake day show which we'd done, and she just loved my whole like vibe. So she kind of said, like, you don't really need to audition, I want you to play Wayne, like the psycho killer in Popcorn. And I was like, absolutely, this sounds amazing. Also written by Ben Elton, one of my comedy heroes.
Oh, cool. I love Ben Elton, actually. I just read a book by him that I'm obsessed with. Blast to the Past.
I don't think I've read that one.
It's actually, honestly, a terrible title, but great book. I'll lend it to you. I loved it.
Yeah, he's great. And I remember, my dad would play me Ben Elton stand-up tapes in the car from the age of like 7 or 8 years old. And it was very blue and very rude. And I probably understood about a third of it most. But it was cool. And then I did like a Shakespeare play, and that was kind of it for acting for quite a while. But I liked being on stage.
Yeah,
I
and you
enjoyed
danced too.
That's true. I did dance. Yeah.
I know too much. I could just do the podcast as
Yeah, when I say there was a thing at university, it was like a charity show, and we would do like choreographed dances on a catwalk. And I just got really into it. This is imposter syndrome. This is more like, this isn't about comedy. This is about like, just like, who are you, James? Why are you like, so.
Why are you like this?
I auditioned for that show in my first year. I got in. I was like one of the dancers. The next year I was like, I love this show. I want to organize it. And I love running events, and that's how I've fallen into running comedy events here. We can segue to that maybe. But so I ran it. And then after 3 years of just dancing in the show, being taught dances by other people, I decided, I'll choreograph dances now. So I'd go away and I'd watch like Usher music videos and stuff, and like nick some of the moves, then take some moves I'd learned from like other dance classes. And I choreographed 3 full routines of 16 people, men and women.
Which is pretty wild and kind of impressive.
Like, but I watched back the videos now because I remember being really proud of myself, and I watched it back and I cringed, like I almost disappear up my own asshole. But I loved it. I was so happy at that time, and I did do it. And
you did it.
Like, I can't believe that I had the confidence to just walk and be like, yeah, I'll choreograph dances.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
If you asked me to do that now, I'd be like, shut up. Like, no.
Dare to do.
Yeah, exactly. To dare is to do.
That's what it is. I was like, I said it wrong, but you know.
It's the same. It's like,
all the same. So you mentioned Ben Elton. Let's talk. I know you have a lot of comedy influences, and I know that's really important to you. So I'd love to learn more about like who you watched, like maybe growing up, but also who you love now, whether famous or local or whatever.
Yes. I mean, if we want to go back to the beginning, I mentioned Ben Elton. So I saw my dad on weekends, and he loved comedy. He's got a great sense of humor, and he used to let me watch stuff that, again, was probably way too old for me. But it wasn't like sexual or violent in any way. Yeah. And this was like back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Right. I mean, old. My dad showed me Animal House when I was like 10.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's problematic. So we would watch things. There was a show called Spitting Image, which was like a political satire show, but with kind of semi-realistic rubber puppets. So it was like politicians, celebrities, people doing voice impressions of them. I loved that show because it was silly. The Young Ones is still one of my. So that's was
soap opera.
No, it was a 12 episodes, 2 seasons sitcom. It's credited as bringing alternative comedy in Britain like to the mainstream, because in that period of kind of the early mid 80s, it was all sort of bubbling under in the clubs, this new alternative scene, and it was people like Rick Mayall, Alexi Sale, Ben Elton, who wrote it, Adrian Edmondson, and they got given this show, and it's this crazy anarchic, wild show that goes very surreal, and it is something you can watch as a kid and enjoy because there's a lot of slapstick, but there's also a lot of like adult themes. They don't really swear in it, but it's like and
because it was on cable TV, right?
Well, I mean, I think I would watch it because my dad had, I guess, recorded it off terrestrial television.
Terrestrial television? What the fuck is that?
As in, like, we have, so not cable. So in England, we had 3 and then eventually 4, then 5 just main channels that everyone got with their TV license into their house. Like, you were posh if you had like Sky and satellite back then.
Oh shit.
We didn't, and then cable came a bit later. So it's what we call terrestrial TV. It's like BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, basically, and then Channel 5.
Terrestrial.
So he would record it on VHS tape, and then we would just watch the VHS tapes over and over, Spitting Image, Young Ones, and then later on Blackadder, Bottom, shows like that. Yeah. So I grew up watching like a lot of sketch, like The Fast Show I loved, a lot of kind of alternative-based comedy, and then also occasionally listening to stand-up like Ben Elton and Billy Connolly. So I still have so much love for those shows. I can always go back and watch them, and they still make me laugh. These days, I guess more modern. It's the same with my music taste when I was a DJ. It's very eclectic. I mean, to state an obvious one, like the big hitters, I think Louis C.K. is a genius. I know there's opinions about him as a person, but his stuff is so good.
Yeah.
Stuart Lee is just on another level. We went to watch him in Edinburgh. And,
Twice.
I kind of feel bad about saying, because he took the piss out of people like me who tell women how good he is, which is just why he's so clever. And it's so irritating.
Funny. It was so funny because we were sitting there just because James had like literally been like, you got to watch Stuart Lee. And we sat with his laptop like on the couch just watching. And he's like, look at this, look at this. And then Stuart Lee just said that exact thing happens on stage. And we're just
yeah, he was like, he's about half of you are here because you love me. And there's probably half of you, mostly women, because the guy you're with tonight went, oh my God, you've got to watch this clip of Stuart Lee. And it was like, fuck.
It's like, how does he know?
Yeah.
How does he know? He's so smart. I feel like your condom bit also has a little bit of Stuart Lee in it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's focusing like really into like a micro thing, and kind of, I would like to stretch out that condom bit.
Don't stretch it too far.
In the same way he can stretch out bits. But I love, Stuart Lee, and then, Mark Watson. James Regal. I think I'm a big fan of turn of phrase and wordplay, and those guys just have a really fun way of using language. I should probably say some women, shouldn't I? This is...
Yeah, I don't know. Come to my confession booth and not mention any women. I mean, you are the mansplainer of the year, so...
True. I mean, this is going to sound really twee, but I honestly, I feel so privileged to have Michelle Wolf here.
Yeah.
Because when she first came here, and I was like, oh my God, Michelle Wolf's coming. And I was like, I know that name. And I Googled her. I was like, okay, I know, I've definitely seen her. And then I watched her stuff to like jog my memory. And I realized I wasn't that familiar with her. And as soon as I watched it, I was just like, this is brilliant. And now, like, she has that ability in the same way that maybe Louis does, and Bill Burr is another one I like, to say the thing on stage that is it's so smart and it's so well observed that in a way you almost think I could have had that exact same thought, not as a comic but as a fan, but you didn't, because they spent months writing that till it's perfect. Right. But it resonates so well that you're like, I feel like you pulled that thought out of my head.
Yeah.
And that is just
yeah, exactly. I mean, she does that so well. And that's the same. I will say, like, Louis C.K. was someone who is famous for doing that, where he will say the things that maybe you've thought, but you don't want to think, so you never say it out loud. And then he just says it, and then everyone around you is laughing. And that's kind of the power of live comedy, too, where it's like, we've all had this thought. Like, we've all, like, Michelle's bit that she's done about... I don't know if she's done this live. Maybe I shouldn't say it too much, but like being in the museum and there's the Asian tour group.
Yeah.
Like, it's really funny.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of thing where you're like, can we say that? But then you're like, well, she said it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it okay to say, but it's like a funny thought and a funny observation.
Yeah. There was a Louis bit I heard the other day, which is kind of somewhat appropriate, when he's talking about dating and he's older, and he gets to date younger women because he's famous, and everyone's like, ew, like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, no, like, it's normal for me to date younger women. Like, they look good. Like, why does she like this? Like, she's the pervert. And it's just like, oh yeah, like that's... whether you believe that's true or not, it's such a fun way of like flipping the observation around that you can't really argue it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's true. It's like, why? I mean, obviously the reason that she likes this is because he's famous and has money.
Yeah, potentially. But it's like, yeah.
And funny. He's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it doesn't stand up, but the point is the way he flips it around is like, and then I want to shout out some people here, because like you say like I'm established now. You kind of said that earlier. I still consider myself new after 4 years. I don't think you can not, until you like 7 or even 10 years in, feel like you're established. But I guess in comparison to people who are like starting out, then I guess,
I'd say you're established within the Barcelona scene.
Yeah, I suppose so. But there's so many just really funny people here, and you kind of almost grow used to them until you go away for a bit. Like when we were in Scotland for a month, or I went to Berlin for a week, and you're like, oh, okay, it's pretty good here. And then you come back and you're like, wait, like there's no difference between some of the people. And one of my absolute favorites here, and I think he's probably an unsung hero of the scene, is Alex Snook.
Yes.
He is one of the funniest people I've seen in ever. His way of writing, his mannerisms on stage, his whole persona. Like, I'm so jealous that he has a really locked in persona. That's something I struggle with. And just, I think, again, turn of phrase. I hope he doesn't mind it. There's a joke that he did. He did it a few years ago, and I always beg him to do it again, like I'm watching a band, like play your song.
Yeah.
But he's talking about the ATMs, the cash machines in Barcelona, and how there's this one bank where they're like very elaborate and they're enormous. And he said they look like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And how there's like people spend ages at them they're not just taking out money, they're doing all kinds of, they're paying their bills and their taxes.
Yeah.
And then he just said like, what? He said like the woman in front of me was laminating her fishing license. And I just, the way he said it and in his accent, which is like Bristolian, and it's such a random, I don't know where that came from, but the first time I heard it, I think I couldn't stop laughing even into the next person's set. It was that funny.
Yeah.
And I just think he's someone that I think maybe struggled a bit with self-confidence in the years, but I've seen he's like performing more and more now. I think he's done Split Hour, he's done an hour.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He is so good. I saw him do the spotlight here, and it was one of my favorite spotlights ever.
Yeah, I'm gutted I had to miss that. I'm so gutted about it.
He was so good. He's just someone, he also really, I think what I really envy with Alex's style is he really is now comfortable in silence and knows how to use silence.
Yeah.
And rhythm in a really, really unique way. And it makes sense because he's a really talented musician as well, that he would use that in comedy as sort of like the way he kind of plays with rhythm and like expectations and like tonal, like what am I trying to say? Like when you're asking a question or you're saying a statement, your voice or your tone does something that makes people expect one thing, and he kind of uses that to do another. And a lot of comedians do it, but he also like knows how to use silence really well. And then also, as you said, has this turn of phrase thing where he's just a very, very smart writer and smart user of words, unlike me. But
I think what's interesting with Alec is like I felt in the past his style just went way over people's heads here in Barcelona, but I feel like the more comedy is maturing here, do you feel like the audiences are maturing with us?
I do.
And I feel that's happening with Alec now, whereas in the past, you know, maybe 5 people in a room of 50 would get him. Now it's more like 30. Because they're being exposed more frequently to different senses of humor. I don't know, it's just a hunch I have. But I honestly feel like if he had been living in the UK for the last 7 or 8 years and gigging consistently, like he'd be quite a big deal by now. I think he's that good.
He is. I mean, he sold out in Bristol. He did like a show in Bristol that sold out, and I think they invited him back. And he's brilliant.
Also, shout out my boy Luke Messina-McGinsky.
Oh yeah, we love Luke. Luke is also like actually really interesting as a comedian though, because he does a lot of like, you never know what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
But he's so smart in what he's saying, if that makes sense.
He's someone I'm also jealous of in the way that he gets in the pocket, and maybe it's from his improv training, but he gets in his pocket, and again he's in this persona, and. Yeah, you're just along for this ride, and he doesn't even need to tell a joke. He just sometimes he just needs to do that sort of like nasally laugh, like the laugh he does. That was a bad impression, but
that was awful.
You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he's so adorable to watch. And he's
entertaining too. Like if anything, he's always entertaining, and you can tell that he's having a good time. Like if he's not having a good time, then but he's almost always having a good time when he's on stage, and that's like infectious.
Yeah. And this is an area I'm still really trying to get to grips with, is my persona on stage. I've been experimenting with like different delivery styles. I think at first I was very much like just high energy, like show confidence, and then recently I started just trying it like not fully deadpan, but just kind of world weary-ish, and finding like I was really enjoying being in that space, and delivering the jokes was interesting, but also like that isn't really who I am all the time. So I'm hoping like years 5 and 6 I'll find like who is James Regal, the on stage comedian
Yeah.
and what is a James Regal bit. I hate talking about someone third person, but you kind of have to in this
Yeah,
instance.
it's so pretentious.
But
My
yeah.
God, James Regal.
But like if I am going to want to like start touring around Europe and having my own hour, it's like there needs to be an expectation of like,
You need a brand.
yeah, like what are people paying to see? And
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet. I'm just hoping it kind of emerges over time.
Yeah, I will say in your recent comedy, what I like is how you've been I kind of like that deadpan thing, and then bringing in your emotion, where we've been talking about it, the condom bit, right, where you get really into it and you're like, this is ridiculous, right? But it's like some of those jokes, you're just like, these are well written and I'm a little deadpan. And then when something starts to make you really mad or confused or angry, you just lean into it. And I really like that.
Okay, no, that's interesting to know. Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. I'm a good observer of you. Well, we should wrap up soon. I wanted to talk about Roast Battle just like a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's one of the shows you run here in Barcelona. You run Roast Battle and you run Lolly Amorous. So tell me about like running those shows, why you wanted to do them, and how they're going.
Sure. I mean, once again, imposter syndrome. I was like, I'm doing comedy now. I'm enjoying performing. I can run my own show. Like I can, I should be the one that's in charge.
But you're very good at being in charge. So
thank you. Appreciate that. I mean, my professional passion was always like I loved running events and stuff, and that's how I ended up in PR and blah 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 blah. So I feel it. Yeah, it was kind of a natural progression to eventually run my own thing. I was trying to think like why I decided to do Roast Battle, because I always kind of liked Roast Battle. It wasn't like I was a huge fan of it.
Right.
I think what happened is another guy, Chris Groves, was running a Roast Battle show right before COVID, or maybe right after COVID. I'm trying to remember the timeline. Right after COVID, yeah, it was right after. And I did my first ever roast against my good friend Olga Camacho. I really enjoyed it. I was hoping
you just loved insulting Olga.
Yeah, and she loved insulting me. Shout out Olga. And I really enjoyed it. I was hoping to do more, and then they just stopped doing the show. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, I was like, all right, it doesn't feel like they're going to do it anymore. So I'd like to revive it because I really like the format. But typical me, it wasn't just like, oh, I'll just find a room and we'll do a show. I was like, no, I want this to be like a whole event. So I wanted it to feel like an underground fight club, sort of very different to a normal comedy show. Like I think it was like a secret location. We didn't tell anyone the address until the day, and the location itself was like way out of the middle of the city.
Yeah, that was probably a good point to not tell anyone the address.
Yeah. But it was amazing. It was this sort of converted warehouse space, and we did it in the round, and it had its issues, like the acoustics were fucking terrible. But people really understood what we were trying to do, and they really dug it, and it was good fun. We did it twice like that until we realized like it wasn't financially sustainable and just it didn't work in terms of acoustic. But we carried on the ethos of that show. We didn't call it Roast Battle at first. It was Comedy Purge, and it was theatrics in it. There was like ring entrances and moving lights and loud music, and like I loved those shows so much.
Thank you. I love drama.
Yeah, but they were high risk and high reward, right? They cost a lot of money to put on. If they sold out, great. But if they didn't, we would lose like 300 quid, and that's kind of annoying. But then eventually, a comedian called Victor Petrashkan, who's done a lot of roasts in London, he was like, you should tell the Roast Battle guys in LA, Brian Moses and Pat Barker, what you're doing. Maybe they'll support you. Maybe you can use their branding. So we wrote to them, and they were like, this is actually really timely because we have like a league in the US, and we're trying to expand the league into other countries. And so long story short, we became part of Roast Battle League.
Which is so cool.
And now we're going to season 2, and we're doing shows every 2 weeks here at the Comedy Clubhouse. Occasionally we do one of these big dramatic shows.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple of times a year, and that's probably sustainable.
Halloween.
Yeah, the Halloween show I think it's always going to be our show.
I always want to be part of that one.
Yeah. And you've done so many, and you won again last night.
Yeah, I won again.
Yeah, so you've got a title match coming up. We bought a belt as well. Like the belt's so good.
If I don't beat Darren, I will kill myself.
Yeah, and look, shout out Phil and Gifty as well. Like as a team, like we've all worked really hard to make this thing happen. I could not have done it on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad when people are like, this is Creative Roast Battle, but we all three of us did it. We me and Phil put our own money into those first shows that lost money. we didn't get it back. You know, it's as much owed to Phil, and also he's so good at the emceeing.
He's a very good MC.
I realized how good he was when I had to do it last time, and I was like, oh, this is actually quite difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do it again, though.
Yeah. You're hosting soon, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And then what was the other question?
Lolly.
Oh yeah, so Lolly. So that one was, I saw a show in Austin, Texas called Other People, run by a guy called Hans Kim, who's actually quite big now, like through Kill Tony. And it was just him and another comedian. They were like pulling names out of buckets in like a kind of empty-ish bar, and people were going on stage and dating. But I thought like, oh, that's something that could work in Barcelona, but I wanted to tweak the format a bit and add some things. And yeah, we tried it here, like just a few like one-offs.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't particularly well attended all the time, but like there was definitely something in it. Mm-hmm. I can't really remember when the turning point was, but just suddenly it just started getting popular.
Yeah. I feel like it was like the summer, like last year.
Maybe, yeah.
Like just before Edinburgh, when you were really like tightening it up.
Yeah. Also, I think we just got better slots here. Like
I thought you said sluts for a second.
Yeah, we got more sluts. That's what helped.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes. If you advertise a dating show with lots of sluts, I mean, we're gonna get some good male attendants.
Yeah. But no, I think it was if we got good time at the clubhouse on good dates, and that helped build momentum. And then we brought in Willow Starr, who just adds a whole new level to the format. She's like a sex educator, a relationships educator at university here. And so she's there to like give like real actual insight and advice about love, relationships, sex, fetishes, monogamy, like whatever. And so it's two comedians and her, and it's just like, it's selling so well. Like I looked at the tickets today, and we're already like half sold for Saturday, which I know we're recording on Friday evening.
Yeah.
But if you're not from Barcelona, you're listening to this, like people buy the tickets super last minute. It's very rare to be hitting like into the 20s and 30s the day before a show. And that's happening like consistently now. And it went well at Edinburgh. So yeah, we took it to Prague last week. I've done it in Berlin, done it in London.
Are you going to take Willow to Edinburgh?
If I get a room, I haven't been offered a room yet. So, Willow said she'd come like for a few shows, but she wouldn't be able to do the whole thing.
I mean, and she can stay with Darren.
Yeah. But there's other people in the UK that could like fulfill that role. They will never be as good as her because she's just like has the perfect mix. But
yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I'm excited about the potential for that one. I feel like if we grow the social media and keep growing the show, like it could be something that's actually like a decent business proposition.
Yeah, you can turn it into a brand where like people do it all over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're going to take over, you're like the Little Shop of comedy shows.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are we making Jew jokes again? No,
I'm not making a Jew joke.
We got through the whole show almost without one.
Without any. This is what happens when you put two Jews in a room, is we actually don't make any Jew jokes. No, it's only in front of other people.
Can we call this the Jew Rogan experience? Stupid.
I want to end it there. Oh, that was good. Okay, real quick, give me your advice for young comedians.
For young comedians.
Young comedians.
God, good advice. Just dive in. That's the advice a wise man once said to me. Just keep doing it. Keep showing up. But I think if everyone has kind of said that, just keep trying. So
give me something different.
Maybe like more practical advice. If you're booked for a show, respect what the showrunner asks you to do. Don't run your light. Don't drop out last minute constantly. Don't feel entitled, like, and this is from someone who often does feel entitled. Like, if you want to be in a show that you really like,
really painting yourself in a good light.
Yeah. But like, go to the show, watch the show, talk to people. Like, there's nothing worse than someone going, I really want to be in the show. And it's like, have you seen it? No. It's like, go, just.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of a New York thing too, or like really any big comedy city is like the best way to get booked on a show is just to go watch it as an audience member and then just talk to people after.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be afraid to reach out to the more established comedians. I feel like Barcelona, we're a famously friendly scene. Mm-hmm. I think most people are more than happy for someone to say, oh, would you mind helping me with this joke or giving me some advice? I certainly am. Like, if anyone's listening to this that is in the Barcelona scene and maybe they find me so incredibly handsome and intimidating, they wouldn't dream of coming up and approaching me. How dare they?
I love the reality that you live in.
But I hope I'm approachable. But you never know, like, the vibe you give off. So I would hope that anyone... There's a guy here. He's not asked me, but there's a guy here called William, or he goes as Ino or Eno on stage.
Yeah, he was actually just outside.
Was he?
Yeah, he was waving
I
at us.
fucking love that guy, and I don't think I've ever told him how much I love him.
Aw.
But he's quite new, and he's just got all this enthusiasm.
And he's very respectful, and he shows up, and he's working. You can tell that he's working, you know?
Yeah, and I just... There's a few people like him on the scene, and yeah, just don't be afraid to ask for help and ask for advice. Like,
I want to give a shout out to someone who did that when she showed up, is Michelle Ahern.
Yes.
Who has always been really open about asking for advice and offering her own experiences, and she won our Vibes Award last year.
She did, and she just performed in front of 1,000 people in Cork, opening for Kyla. Yeah. I mean, what an amazing story.
Exactly. And it's just because she's so fucking open and friendly and really down to approach, people. She's taken people out for coffee and gotten to know people. And it's really like, it shows, and we just all love her. So I think that that's great advice.
We do love Michelle, but this is my episode, so let's talk about how much you love me instead.
You don't want to hear exactly how much I love you. Great. Well, let's end on that note, I guess.
All right. This was fun.
It was fun. So we have Spotlight Saturday, which this will probably drop Saturday. So it's Spotlight tonight.
Yeah, Spotlight 8 p.m. Lolly Amorous straight afterwards at 10 p.m.
Nice.
With Mila Kopieva co-hosting and Willow Star, of course. And then, come see my solo show on 30th of March at Secret Comedy Club, 6:30 p.m. and 27th of April, 6:30 p.m. at the Comedy Clubhouse.
Nice. Cool. Great job, James.
High fives.
High fives. Thanks.